Fisheries Gulf is a special place because it's the bottom of a very shallow gulf, which creates its own unique environment.
A lot of people take the Gulf for granted and they go to sea in the Gulf, they come up, they've worked in other areas. It's a very short, steep sea and it's very, very dangerous. The southeast weather in Corumba is quite frightening if you're working offshore. And then we haven't had a northwest season or monsoon for 3 years, but when they come in, they are very, very vicious.
It has incredible floodplains, and this creates a wonderful world for a whole heap of different types of shorebirds and migratory birds.
You have a mosaic of coastal ecosystems, both salt pans and mangroves and beach shorelines, and these are also connected to high integrity river basins.
The Norman River is very important to our people. All tribes, we live off the river and the land.
The biodiversity is the basis for traditional owners' subsistence resources and also culturally important resources associated with these natural landscapes.
Different seasons, you can get barramundis, turtles, crayfishes, brims, medicine plants, bush plants to eat. The river is very resourceful any time of the year.
During the wet season, outwelling of nutrients from the adjoining salt pans and mangrove and estuarine environments contribute to high levels of productivity in the near coastal environment. And not only does this benefit biodiversity, but this biodiversity also has direct linkages to social and economic values. So the Gulf supports multi-million-dollar fisheries, both net fisheries, trawl fisheries, crab fisheries, and the nationally important northern prawn trawl fishery.
The reports for the size of the recreational fishing, which is the bulk of the tourism industry, is about 20,000 people a year.
The recreational fishery in Corumba is based on grunter and to a lesser extent barramundi and other species, but grunter is by far the species that is most impacted.
We have a major aggregation of the grey nomad tourists during the winter months, concentrating their efforts on Corumba, and there's a lot of evidence there of bag limits being exceeded and size limits being flouted, and there's certainly concerns amongst locals and long-term visitors that the fishing in the Corumba region isn't as good as it used to be, and some of the species, particularly the javelin fish or grunter stocks, have been heavily exploited.
I think that the impact is severe. I think that the grunter fishery is in damage control. I think that the anecdotal evidence of the fish are smaller, and they can grow up to 60 centimetres, and I haven't heard of anyone catching a 60 centimetre grunter for a decade.
We're very, very concerned with the extraction of water in the Gulf of Carpentaria rivers. As at the moment they're pushing ahead to extract water, we're very fearful of that because any extraction of water in these sorts of times would be devastating to the fishery.
What will happen to our generations to come with pesticides and fertiliser? Will it harm our bodies? Will it harm our cattle? Because we're down the end of the river and on the tail end of everything, we're going to get all the wash off. What's going to happen to the wildlife?
So the major threats to the coastal marine environment of the Northern Gulf are basically associated with catchment condition and the maintenance of river basin processes, global warming and sea level rise and associated impacts, management of the coastal lands and immediate pressures on those coastal lands, and another issue of concern is marine debris.
Even around the town here, where the rivers, there's creeks there that wasn't there a couple of months ago. There's always different changes going on.
In terms of some of the solutions to the pressures facing the coastal marine environment, there's a host of things we need to look at.
Keeping the land and sea ranges program going is probably my number one suggestion. Those rangers are doing a fantastic job in there, and they are the eyes and ears on the ground, and if there's anything happening in the Gulf, they will pick it up.
Base here at Normanton, we've got about eight ranges. We've got the 3 different tribes that are working on our delta, and also are around the other, on their neighbouring side as well, country. Getting them on top of things with the conservation work, and yeah, the main one is eradicating the noxious weeds and the feral animals.
The main solutions are to reduce the impact of the recreational fishermen while still retaining the benefits they bring to the Gulf.
Council have put in a lot of infrastructure like boat ramps, extra boat ramps, pontoons, so there's a lot of facilities to enhance the recreational fishing effort. We would like to see a survey on recreational fishing, not for any other reason but to manage the stocks properly.
Certainly, if we're going to come to understand how those pressures that are emerging are affecting our coastal marine environment, we need to have in place a much better system of monitoring.
We don't want to lose our fishery, and the waters that flow into the Gulf of Carpentaria are so very, very important to the Gulf fishery.
Considering water resource development, we need to make sure that there's sufficient allocation for the needs of the environment. We need to maintain those critical flows that maintain the fisheries productivity.
I also like the fact that we can communicate with all the communities, Aboriginal communities, and the recreational people as well.
But I just love the feeling of freedom out there, you know, in the wide open spaces, and it is a beautiful area.
It's different, it's isolated, and it's been very, very good to fishermen for many, many years.